Hi guys and girls. Hi everyone. Can you hear me? Please write in the chat if you do. Okay, cool. So my name is Dimitri. I'm Atlassian Apps Marketing Manager at Divinity. And today is going to be a special webinar because I'm hosting it together with Maxime Rouquet from Tempo, Canada.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me, Dimitri.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to have you here as well. So let me share the screen. Okay, so we'll talk about common work distractions and time wasters, and how we can use Jira Software to reduce them and customize this Atlassian solution to increase efficiency of your team. Then Max will give us a short presentation about how tracking time actually saves it, the benefits of logging work in Jira, and a quick demo of Tempo timesheets, which is likely the most efficient way to do it. Just a couple of words about Divinity. For those who don't know, we've been an Atlassian solution partner since 2005, got the Platinum status in 2011, and last year we became one of the founding Gold Top vendors in the ecosystem. Over 5,000 companies around the globe have improved their teamwork and collaboration with our expert services and dedicated apps on the Atlassian marketplace. Our solutions improve customer and agent experience in Jira Service Desk, let teams work faster and easier in Jira Software, and enable putting requirements and software tests right inside the Atlassian suite. Today, we'll land on the Earth, which is the planet of teamwork and human communication, and talk about efficient use of teams' working time. First, let's dive into some statistics. According to a survey by salary.org, 39% of American workers spend about an hour a week on non-work related items. That's followed by 29% who spend up to 2 hours a week wasting time at work, and 21% who waste up to 5 hours a week. It might make the employees feel better, as they're just blending their lives together with work, as well as socializing and building relations inside and between teams. But the figures are pretty scary from the business perspective. A software developer who is distracted for 3 hours a week on average wastes over $5,000 of his salary per year. So what if a company has 100 employees, or 1,000, or 10,000? Okay, we're all people and not robots. We need a bit of rest during the day, and research says that socializing in the workplace actually increases productivity and engagement into solving problems. But even work-related activities can be extremely time-consuming and by no means effective. According to an IDC white paper, in 2012, Western European knowledge workers were spending 9 hours a week on creating documents, 6 on reviewing, and over 4 on just searching for them. Newer data from Tempo shows some progress in this area, but still, administrative work can take us up to 1/3 of our working time. Another stats compilation by Atlassian shows us 3 of the most dangerous work-related productivity killers: emails, needless meetings, and interruptions. If we look at it from a broader perspective, we'll see that all 3 are related to communication. Meanwhile, 95% of organizations still use email as their primary internal communication medium, so the average worker can spend as much as 13 hours a week reading through and responding to emails. What's even more, according to Atlassian, unproductive meetings, which constitute around half of all the meetings, take up to 31 hours a month or 8 hours a week. We add to this 15 hours of paperwork and 2 hours of being totally distracted, and we're left with just 2 hours for doing the actual work. Now we can see why so many people take plenty of overtime to finally get anything done. A rigid and outdated approach to choosing proper communication media leads to imprecise messages and thus a strong need for correcting them, which in its turn costs even more. Research data by Siemens Enterprise shows that a company with 100 employees spends an average of 17 hours a week clarifying communications, which translates to an annual cost of over $500,000. If we take it to a higher level, miscommunication can cost businesses 25 to 40% of their overall annual budget. So what do you think about it? Are these stats applicable to your situation? We'll find out in this little poll. with just 2 questions. Let's say we have 2 minutes for each question. Okay, everyone's done, I suppose. Just additional 20 seconds. Okay, so the results are pretty interesting. We see that some people spent the entire working day in Jira. That's really amazing. And the most time consuming activities of working in Jira are updating issues across different Jira projects or instances and waiting for the colleagues to respond or resolve issues. Okay. These are the results, so you can see them as well. Really interesting. Okay, so what we can do when facing such enormous costs? If we're just a small startup with a team of 3 to 5 people, it's not a big problem for us yet. It becomes one when we start scaling up rapidly or are already a big organization, often distributed geographically. The bigger the project and the more people participate in it, the more difficult it becomes to get the work done on schedule and budget, because people find it hard to keep track with what's going on. When the number of tasks is too high, it becomes crucial to set up some kind of a work tracking system. However, when each team does it their own way, it's not too good either. Someone may be using a number of separate Excel charts, creating physical Kanban boards with post-its, like on this photo, or applying a dozen of different software tools across the organization. When these teams need to collaborate, this approach leads to confusion, inconsistency, and a lack of transparency, which costs a lot, as we already know. And even for separate projects inside a company, more tools means more bills to pay each year. This is why more and more companies from SMBs to global enterprises choose a unified project tracker like Jira to manage their project scopes and track progress. What started as a bug tracker transformed into a fully powered project management machine with lots of features and templates for different kinds of teams, not only software, but also non-technical. It allows gathering tasks, assigning them to the team members, following the work progress, setting time estimates, and comparing it with the actual time spent on completion. So here are the 5 main things that Jira can offer for solving these problems. When teams don't have a centralized system for creating, organizing, and monitoring their work, getting on the same page takes a lot of time. With Jira, every team member can access all the tasks inside the projects they have permission for. Transparency is critical for team productivity, and also for the quality of delivered work. By seeing how particular tasks fit into the big picture, people have a greater understanding of the project and sense of ownership. Jira allows project managers to plan and organize tasks and entire projects. No longer do we have to reach out to individual team members to learn what the status of their task is and when they're going to finish it. All this information can be easily logged into individual Jira tickets. Its project tracking features and reporting dashboards are also a good fit for teams following the Agile methodology. A burn down or a sprint health chart will give the team leaders a good clue about their team's productivity. We can even create a wallboard and present this data on a large screen for all the team members, which can motivate them to do better. Of course, non-Agile teams can also benefit from it because there are really many gadgets for Jira dashboards. In medium-sized to big companies, teams usually should follow formal documented processes to deliver projects on time and work seamlessly together. Jira comes with a set of standard workflows, which can be customized to match the unique needs of a given team in a particular department. The most basic one takes a task from to do to in progress and finally done. You can add any number of steps in between, specify possible transitions between them, and include conditions to be fulfilled on each step. Service desk agents should include communication with the customer and waiting for development into their workflow, and software teams usually have to consider the code reviewing, testing, and deployment phases. The possibilities of adjusting and changing workflows are practically unlimited. You see a couple of examples on the screen. When a workflow for a project is in place, it's time to design the task board according to it. Unlike with physical boards, in Jira you can remove the done column from the board view or put a work in progress limit on the in progress column, which means highlighting it when the number of issues exceeds a predefined number. Also, you can control which issue fields you display as icons right on the board, so the important data like due date or priority can be visible without having to click through to the issue view. In addition, Scrum projects include task backlogs and sprint planning features, and service desk requests are managed by support agents in so-called queues. All these features help save time on unnecessary status meetings and miscommunication, as all the up-to-date information can be seen at any given moment inside the project. And what if we need to find a file or a piece of work which causes a problem really quickly? If we use a couple of tools for tracking different teams' work, it becomes practically impossible, or at least takes very long. But in Jira, we can search through database really quickly with Jira Query Language or JQuery. It allows us to search objects in Jira by fields values and narrow or broaden the search results by using special operators and keywords. The displayed data can be sorted or ordered in specific ways, which makes data presentation much easier. Not so technical users can enjoy clicking through simple search and quick filters predefined by the project admin, like for displaying only the issues reported by or assigned to a particular user, or just the issues in a given status inside the project. Atlassian Jira can be very helpful in organizing teams' work from chaos and tracking the progress of multiple projects at the same time. However, depending on the specifics of a particular use case, various problems can appear using the tool, which would also drain precious working time. Teams who have repetitive operational processes in place, like IT or marketing, will have to deal with manual creation of these repetitive tasks. Pretty often, they have to reproduce really large epic structures with stories, tasks, and subtasks, which can be solved by cloning issues because it works only within the same project. The create issue screens themselves can be really large and full of different fields, which aren't always necessary to fill in all at once. Putting all the work inside one tool can also cause the risk of human error and waiting for a command or a status change instead of communicating directly to the coworkers. Also, it can be difficult to synchronize multiple instances between each other, especially if they're sitting behind a firewall. Fortunately, there's the Atlassian Marketplace, where we can find solutions to these problems if they appear in our company. Issue templates for Jira significantly saves time spent on issue creation. Instead of typing in almost the same data again and again, teams can design flexible templates for generating repetitive tasks and their structures in no time. The app is also available in Jira Service Desk to fast-track request submission by our customers. Dynamic Forms for Jira helps organize and extend custom fields management possibilities to be more friendly and practical for both users and admins. With this app, you can build a winning user interface that asks users only the relevant questions and merge custom fields into bundles to increase the efficiency of your Jira instance. Active Directory Attribute Sync grabs useful information about the users available on your LDAP server, like job titles, phone numbers, departments, and displays them on user profiles, hover dialects, Jira use issues, and Jira Service Desk requests. The multi-purpose update data post function allows to perform basic identity management without having to wake up the Active Directory admin. And if you collaborate with external teams, have a public Jira instance for your customers and stakeholders to show the work progress, or your support team works in Jira Cloud and the developers have to be on server, Issue Sync integrates multiple Jira instances even on different hostings and automates real-time ticket synchronization between them. This allows to speed up communication and integrate processes between teams and companies. Okay. So now I think it's time for Max to tune in and tell us about why tracking time actually saves time. I've heard you have some data about it, right?
Yes, absolutely. Thanks again, Dimitri, for the intro. I think you guys can now see my screen, correct? That should be better. So thanks again, guys, to join us from the webinar. As mentioned previously, my name is Max. I'm the partner marketing expert here at Tempo. So Divinity just showed you how you can save time in Jira. Now I'm here to help you see how you can track that time in Jira, understand the benefits of time tracking, and show you some use cases of product through a case study that can help explain how time tracking can save more than just time. So for you, those of you that are not familiar with Tempo, Tempo is an Icelandic software company that develops management solutions for Jira. We empower the world's most productive teams to achieve this, the best by providing an intuitive way to see impact of where time is invested. So Tempo has over 12,000 customers worldwide across all industries, from 120 of the global 500 to small and medium businesses. We assist our users with solving many different problems and use case with our 3 products, Tempo Timesheets, Tempo Planner, and Tempo Budgets. The common problematic we see revolves around the ability to convert the data into value-added business insights. So today we'll focus on that, mainly on Tempo Timesheets, our time tracking solution. Before we go further in the presentation, let's address the elephant in the room. Why should you and your business care about time tracking? Well, here are some use cases that are possible with a good time tracking tool. So from a user's perspective, the benefits are not as obvious as for a business, but that information is nonetheless very valuable. As a business, you can use the information from track time to understand how you're spending your time in an effort to become better at what you do. So we typically spend about 8 hours a day at work. So being able to save 30 minutes to an hour a day on repetitive tasks could help you reallocate 7.5 to 12.5% of your day. It could also help identify your weaknesses, what takes you the longest and things like that. So being able to have that information to log work on might be something that you'd like. Secondly, a user might also confirm that they're being used for the things that they were hired for. So for instance, if an engineer had in his contract that he would travel 5 to 10% of the time, but ends up being 50% of the time on the road, well, he can ask for some changes. Tracking data just makes things simpler to observe, pick up on, and quantify. And thirdly, a user may ensure that he's growing career-wise. So are you learning new skills? As an example, Arizona State University, which is a top 10 research university, has some department use a 20/80 work in which they want 20% of your time to be spent on career development skills. So having access to reports that show where you spend your time will also help you trace your own career growth. Now, for business, the use cases and benefits are slightly more straightforward. First, they can gather a better understanding of how their operations are going. What are teams spending the time on? Can we find any recurring inefficiencies? This data can be used with long-term growth. So as an example, Redspace, a Canadian company specializing in the design and development of web, mobile, gaming, and video solutions, was able to make Tempo Timesheets help them save over $220,000 per year. Not too shabby. Secondly, companies can also leverage that data to observe trends happening and improve forecasting. So Fleurlist, a digital company, uses historical data that's collected with time tracking to make better predictions about how long a project will take. And with historical data, prevent scope overload, overutilization, and communicate unrealistic deadlines. So not only is this something to help make better business decisions, it's also something that helps with sustainable business growth. Thirdly, time tracking can massively help areas of your business that require accurate data, such as to measure capital expenditure or operational expenditures, helping out with payroll to calculate tax credits, or see if you're eligible to some sort of government grants. That being said, what we see as most popular is to help send invoices and billables. So for example, Icelander has reduced their invoicing errors to near zero thanks to the accurate data from time tracking. If you can avoid mistakes on something you build a customer, then you can avoid angry emails or phone calls from that customer, which is, something, it's never a good look. You can also avoid forgetting some elements to bill a customer, which is also something you never want to do, as this might be your source of income. So there are many more use cases. Each business has a unique way of using the data and integrating the data to their operations. And at the end of the day, they're never wrong or right way, as long as you can get value added from it. Now, without further ado, let's move on to the case study. So AdTech recently wrote a very interesting case study on how they use Tempo timesheets and the benefits they were able to get out of the tool. AdTech is a professional service firm with more than 12 years of experience in delivering software solutions for enterprise clients. They have operations worldwide with offices in different locations such as India, Singapore, and the US. So our story starts when the leadership team didn't see the results that they had predicted for their sales team. So they felt that there was a gap between the predicted versus the actual efficiency of the sales team. So in other words, it felt like it was harder for them to meet their KPIs. And while they felt that something was wrong, the leadership team had a hard time identifying where the sales team effort was being placed and had difficulty understanding if the prioritization of tasks was correct. So this is where Tempo is able to help. So let's go through some items that the company needs in order to potentially fix their operations. So first, they need to be able to track time and track billable time versus non-billable time. And that's because they're consultants, so they want to know how much time they're customer facing and how much of their time they can charge. Second, they need to be able to segment time by different teams and roles. In this case, they're mostly interested in the sales team. And third, they need able to solve their issue, which is find sources of inefficiency and have an overview of what the consultant team is working on and fix that if it's not high value tasks. So let's start with the time tracking part. Collecting data is a required step for your company to extract insights from. When you go into Jira and you have Tempo timesheet, you now have more than 7 ways to track time. So you can use our mobile app, you can use the W hotkey to log time anywhere within Jira, or you can access my work. So what you see on your screen right now is my work. I'm using Tempo timesheets for server, by the way. It can be described as your Tempo timesheet home base, and it's where a lot of the options for logging time are located. What's nifty about my work is the visual feedback of your track time and the convenience to log work. What I mean by that is all you have to do is click log work and a work log window will pop up, and that window is where you'll actually log your work. So starting from the top, you can see the search and the Jira issues with which you'd like to log time. So this is doable because Tempo is fully integrated with your Jira instance. You can then add a description, the time you worked on the issue. In this case, the company added the possibility of tracking billable time, which makes sense because this is for consultants. So odds are they want to determine whether the time they spend on issue, they can bill the client for. If this is something not useful for you, you can simply not have that field in. As you can see from the bottom, with the fields called account and mileage, these are custom fields called work attributes. So I won't go into them today, but very briefly, these are used to capture additional data and custom data that your company might find useful. And as soon as you hit log time, you'll see a card being created and the amount of hours being updated at the top in your My Work, so in your home base. Moving forward, we know that AdTech is interested in gathering data for the sales team. So that part is doable with Tempo Teams. From a high-level standpoint, this is a great way of organizing users and giving them roles, which helps get a more granular insights. So that part is mostly useful later on in the reporting view. A team lead can create his team at the capacity for his members. So if a member is working full-time in this team, that can be said, or if his time is being split with other projects as well, that also can be defined here. So with Tempo Teams, a team lead at AdTech can now easily stay up to date with the operations of the team. I'd like to place your attention to the upper right part of the screen. A Tempo team or someone with the right permission scheme can now see the timesheet report, which is extremely similar to the Tempo report view. So we'll explore that in a sec. But there's also the timesheet approval tab. So this is not something directly related to the problem AdTech faces, but because they are dealing with billable time, they might want to ensure that the data they gather is accurate. So this allows supervisors to review, approve, and reject timesheets individually or in bulk. And I just want to point out that Iceland there was possibly able to reduce the amount of billable mistakes thanks to approvals. So approvals might be interesting for you as this helps reduce and produce even more accurate invoices and gain confidences for audits, for instance. Of course, there are logs of the approvals so that there's transparency and traceability if that's needed. Now, right now, the screen is on team utilization. You can use team utilization report to view the capitalized hours and the operationalized hours. This utilization report gives a good visualization of what your team has spent their time on. So there are 4 types in the utilization report: billable, capitalized, internal, and operational. If you're not about CapEx and OpEx, it can be more about billable and internal hours. And this screen is very good for visual representation of whether certain business goals are met. So for AdTech, they can use the utilization report to quickly see if the sales team has enough billable hours or client-facing time per week. But they can also use the Tempo reports to have access to similar information. So you might have realized that there were other types present, such as planning and capacity. These are available with Tempo Planner, which has synergy with Tempo timesheets. Since we're talking about organizing information into a more granular fashion, I just wanted to point out that Tempo Accounts is another Tempo functionality that enables you to segment information further. In essence, it allows you to improve reliability, transparency, and accuracy of time tracked for clients across multiple projects and teams. Any new project from a client can easily be added to their account. So once again, this helps tremendously in the report view. For AdTech, accounts can be another way of identifying billable and non-billable activities. Now, to find and solve their issue, AdTech is going to find most of the information they seek from the Tempo reports. You can think of this as like a pivot table with the ability to group and filter based on your needs. Just so you know, there are some pre-made templates, but you can also create a custom report. This means that you can get spot inefficiency from the fields that interest you. And I just want to point 2 things out. 1, if you've created accounts or teams, you can filter and group by that. And 2, if the data is centralized, meaning that people with the right permission schemes will be able to view the latest data in the reporting view without having to leave Jira or needing to update anything. So what did they discover? Well, AdTech saw that a big portion of the consultant's time was spent on repetitive tasks, about 4 hours per day. With that information, they were able to automate these tasks and boost the team's efficiency. In addition, because creating documents and collateral was too time consuming, the team created multiple templates in Confluence to use for proposals, requirements, and other documents. So this reduced the redundancy of sales resources by about 1.5 hours a day. So in other words, AdTech was not only able to save 4 days per person per month for every sales resources created, they were also able to allocate more time customer facing. So as you can see on your screen, I just wanted to create a simplified recreation of that data what we see is that 50% of the consultant's time is spent on document creation, low value and highly time consuming tasks. And only 2 hours per day is spent with clients. So with that, I wanted to illustrate that Tempo reports could help find out sources of inefficiencies and business insights by filtering and grouping the data. They also found out that some members were specialists. So they're extremely proficient at certain tasks compared to their teammates. So AdTech started assigning tasks to specialized members of the team, which smoothed out the team's efficiency. So for instance, Amy only takes 30 minutes to solve API problems, whereas the rest of the team takes 2 hours to solve them. A good idea would be to assign more of that to her and allocate different tasks to the rest of the team. Now, from an operational standpoint, all these changes led to significant improvement in cycle time with clients and average time spent per deal and issues. From the standpoint of the sales team, they were able to allocate more time towards customer interactions, leading to a better understanding of customers and be able to provide a more personalized experience. But there were also some unexpected benefits. The implementation of Tempo timesheets also provided some benefits to the whole organization. They were able to see that very little time was recorded for skill development, which is something that AdTech actively promotes in similar fashion to the Arizona State University example that I mentioned earlier. To remedy this, a minimum fixed time was mandated towards skill development for each resource, along with internal training. So today, the entire sales and marketing team has completed at least one certification each, along with various other core skills. So all in all, Tempo Timesheet has made it very easy to monitor and manage resources for AdTech, especially in the case of those working in remote locations. I wanted to also inform you that Tempo Timesheet is available on cloud, server, and data center, and we're enterprise ready. And I briefly mentioned at the start that we have 2 other products. We have Tempo Planner, which can find available resources quickly, maximize team capacity, and effortlessly plan work. And we have Tempo Budget to easily create projects budget, navigate large project portfolios, and view real-time dashboards. So there are many of our clients that use all 3 products because they have great synergy together. So for instance, Red Space that I mentioned earlier was able to save a lot of money with the 3 tools. They use Tempo budgets to track the health and status of projects. Tempo Planner was to optimize the utilization of resources and make sure that they had capacity to finish projects on time or to tackle new projects. And Tempo Timesheets was used to oversee operations and spot inefficiencies. I want to point out that if you have a unique use case, there's always the possibility that an app on the Atlassian marketplace integrates with Tempo to already solve your use case. But we also have the APIs available if you'd like to create your own solutions or integrations. Alternatively, there's always our friend Divinity who can definitively help implement your use case. And just a quick reminder that you can always try Tempo for free through the Atlassian marketplace. I would highly suggest running through our partner Divinity so that it can help you set up Tempo for your unique use case and help you maximize the ROI you get out of the tool. And now I know this is about a Jira webinar, but we're also stepping out of the Atlassian ecosystem and into Zendesk. So if you're using Zendesk for your support or sales team, you can now integrate Tempo timesheets with it. And that's all for me. So thanks for your time. If there are any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. In all cases, you can always reach out to Divinity for help and best practices.
Okay, thank you, Max, for an interesting presentation. Really great news that you're integrating with Zendesk. It was a news for me as well. Now let's just quickly sum up what we've seen today. So the work-related activities can be extremely time-consuming and absolutely unproductive at the same time. In fact, distracting us from doing the actual work. Miscommunication, lack of clear processes, and many authority sources for all the teams, tasks, and files can cost businesses up to 40% of their annual budget. Implementing Atlassian Jira can save a big chunk of both teams and managers' time. Being a single source of truth for all tasks and files is a clear benefit of this solution, and features like workflows, task boards, reporting dashboards, and jQuery search help configure the tool to exactly match the way the teams work. They enable transparency and a greater understanding of the work being done, as well as quick searchability and the streamlined delivery process. Jira has so many use cases for different teams that it just can't be a one-size-fits-all tool. However, almost all the problems can be solved by adding dedicated apps from the Atlassian Marketplace to the setup. Issue templates and dynamic forms improve issue creation. Active Directory attribute sync enables easier contact between teams and basic identity management from inside Jira. And Issue Sync helps connect multiple Jira instances to enhance cross-team or cross-company collaboration. Max, do you have anything to add to this?
No, you're golden, my friends.
Yeah, as you've seen, data that you can extract from the time tracking tool can also help you in identifying these problems and match the right solutions for you. So if you'd like to learn more about letting teams work faster and easier in Jira, we're blogging about it at divinity.com and creating video tutorials on our YouTube channel. You can also find us on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. Follow Divinity apps by the links you see on the screen to track the latest news from our company and the Atlassian ecosystem.